It's the biggest multilateral lender in the world, the European Investment Bank, providing funds for green projects, but not for fossil fuel investments, financing the reconstruction of Ukraine and supporting innovation and competitiveness in Europe. That's quite an agenda. We spoke to the new president of the European Investment Bank, former Spanish Minister Nadia Calviño. That's next on the Global Conversation. Thank you, Madam President, for your time today, and welcome to the Global Conversation.
Thank you very much for having me.
So, you just started your 6-year term a few weeks ago and already have a lot on your plate. I want to mention one priority to begin with, Ukrainian reconstruction. Obviously a monumental task that requires strong European commitments. I wonder how this is going to be managed. I mean, how do you fund projects that could still be destroyed by war?
Well, the bank has been active in Ukraine for a long time, and actually since the war started we have already invested 2 billion euros in Ukraine. It's very good news that last week leaders agreed to reinforce the Ukraine facility. That's also going to give more guarantees and more firepower to the European Investment Bank Group to continue to support Ukraine now and invest in the reconstruction once the war is over, as soon as possible, I hope.
The EIB is also known for many people as the Green Bank. So tell us a little about the projects, the industries, the numbers, and are investors still excited?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, last year we invested 49 billion euros in the green transition. So I think it's very good, and it's really a good description of the bank to call us the climate bank. And we have consolidated our brand. And we are financing the whole cycle that has to do with the green transition, from R&D and deployment of disruptive technologies to reinforcement of the grids, also decarbonization of heavy industry, energy efficiency, the net zero technologies. And so I think that is the right way to support the transition.
So what happens now is that, for instance, big car makers are delaying the rollout of new electric models, farmers protesting environmental regulations, and populists ignoring climate policy are on the rise. Is that a real danger for the Green Deal?
We are in a transition, and changes are disruptive and they impose costs, and that is why the public sector, politicians, but also public institutions such as the European Investment Bank Group, we need to accompany those sectors. We need to support the agricultural sector in undertaking the necessary investments. We need to support heavy industry to make these adjustments. We need citizens to have access to affordable green technologies, and it is our duty to explain things and to accompany our economies and societies to close the investment gap and to make sure that we seize the opportunities of these twin green and digital transitions.
The EIB's investment report shows that European companies have increased investment in things like innovation, energy efficiency, and supply chain diversification. That's good. However, the report also warns that there is a risk that corporate Europe is going to be divided going forward. What is the issue here?
It is clear that companies have to think twice about undertaking some of the necessary investments. There is very high uncertainty, geopolitical tension that's also limiting the appetite, the risk appetite of corporations. And that is why the EIB has an important role in de-risking investments. When we invest in green hydrogen or a circular battery factory, we are really making this project possible because we bring with us other public investors, but also private investors that see the role of the bank as a very important element of de-risking, but also technical analysis. We rubber stamp to a certain extent that this is a viable project, this is a good project, and that is mobilizing private investment.
You mentioned geopolitical tensions. A lot of people in Brussels and in EU capitals fear the return of Donald Trump to the White House. Are you among them?
2024 is an important year from the perspective that billions of citizens around the world are going to go to the polls, are going to vote and decide what future they want for their lives and for their children, including the EU. We have the European elections, coming up soon. And all these elections are certainly going to have a large impact in our destinies. But most importantly, I think the European elections should lead to a strong unity of Europeans and a solid commitment to remain together and to respond together, united and in a determined manner to the challenges around us, because that has proven to be, throughout history, the right way forward.
So now that you have elegantly pivoted to the European elections, you're not concerned about the outcome of the US presidential election?
I'd rather stay out of any political considerations as president of the European Investment Bank.
Okay. One key policy in Brussels and in Europe is competitiveness. And let me bring this up in connection with a good old goodie of EU policy ambitions with a long shelf life, and that is the Capital Market Union. A few days ago, Council and Parliament have agreed on a review of market infrastructure rules. Are you confident that this could come to a conclusion this year?
Well, this is an area where I've been working for many years. I have a long experience in dealing with financial regulation, and Capital Markets Union was one of our top priorities already 15 years ago, 10 years ago. And so I really hope that in the next mandate we will be able to have an updated legal framework in this regard. But in the meantime, as President of the European Investment Bank Group, I have already launched a number of work streams in the House to see how we can be pioneers of some of the financial instruments that can form the building blocks of this actual capital market union.
One more. I mentioned it earlier, you just started your term here at the EIB in Luxembourg. Where do you want Europe to be in 6 years?
Well, that's a difficult question to reply, because who knows what can happen in the coming 6 years. Just looking back and thinking what we've been through with the pandemic, the war, inflation, I really hope that going forward we are able to respond in an efficient manner to the challenges that will surely come our way. I hope that we have restored peace on our borders. And that we can, looking back, see that this was only a short period where so much war and destruction was surrounding the Union. And I hope that we will see also a strongly united, a deeper, more integrated economy and society within our European Union. And of course, prosperity, welfare, happiness for our kids and grandkids. Yeah?
That's a wonderful conclusion, Madam President. Thank you so much for a great global conversation.
Lovely to talk to you. Thank you.